Have you ever been to 10 cities in 11 days? I did. This experience was one of the best that I've ever had at this age. The 10 cities were Marseille, Aix-en-Provence, Nice, Milan, Verona, Lugano, Bern, Lauterbrunnen, Lucerne, and Luxembourg. We are three friends met at Spa during the exchange program. It was so incredible that we could get along well and decided to go on a trip together, just to save this memory for ourselves. Our trip started in May 4th from Cannes, where I lived in France for my exchange semester, and ended in May 15th. The first city we visited was Marseille in the south part of France, which is also the third biggest city of this country. The morning when we arrived at Marseille, the weather was very tricky with huge winds. We thought that we would be flown away anytime if we didn't place our step properly. Due to the weather, we couldn't go to many places, but visited the old port of Marseille, which was very famous, some churches, the fort, and the old town. We had our fancy lunch and took some pictures nearby the beach and the coast, but it was really dangerous and it was not recommended because of the winds. Our phone or even our life could be taken away anytime due to the weather. But I loved that experience anyhow because I don't think I would ever have another chance to be in such the same situation again. The second destination was Aix-en-Provence, also in France, which really excited me at the beginning, but there was always a but. I was expecting so much to visit the lavender field of the city because this city is famous around the world for this flower. However, I did not get to visit it because May was too early to see lavender. If you want to visit lavender field, it's best to visit it between June and August. The lavender field is located around 30 to 45 minutes by bus away from the city center, and it is super easy to go there and come back with the city map, which you can take from tourist office. This city is so pretty. It's small, but it looks like the life here is more collective than individualistic, like in Cannes where I stay. I just love this city so much for its structure and lifestyle of people here. I felt like I could walk around all the corners of the city for hours without being bored. We visited Cézanne's house, who is a famous painter in France.
When we think of the cubism that Cézanne laid the foundations for, we have to look at a painting like this. This is pre-cubist. This is
The third city we visited was Nice, which is next to Aix-en-Provence and Marseille. This city is called the City of Art, which has a very romantic and peaceful sea coast covered around the city. In Nice, we joined the free walking tour, which was organized by local people. Every free walking tour would last within 2 to 3 hours, and at the end of the tour, we were left free to decide how much tips or money we would like to give them. Since we were all students, we decided to give €5 each person. We were so lucky to know parts of the history of the town. One of them, which I was most impressed with, was the story of fake windows. In ancient times of Nice, which I don't know exactly when, the more windows you have at home, the more taxes you have to pay for the government. Therefore, local people decided to paint fake windows on their walls instead of making the real ones, just to make their houses more beautiful maybe. And these windows were painted just so real that none of us could realize until we were told about it. The fourth place we went to was Milan in Italy. This is the most luxurious city I have been to until now. It looked even more modern to me than Paris, which I don't know why. And this is the heaven for those who love branded clothes, accessories, cosmetic, or food such as pizza and spaghetti. We did not stay at night in the city because none of us like the city so much except for food, so we decided to spend the night in Verona, our next destination. Verona is the famous birthplace of the famous Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Of course, this story is not real and was portrayed using the context of Verona. I guess only when you get to visit a city, you understand why Shakespeare chose Verona but not Milan, for example. In my case, I did not really get the reason well, so let's skip it. In the free walking tour we joined in Verona, we got to know that since Romeo and Juliet's story was too famous and many people were curious to visit the city because of the story, there was a rich man who spent his money to build a castle, Romeo and Juliet statue, and a garden where Romeo came to meet Juliet. He then earned a lot of money for this project. When Romeo and Juliet movie was shot there and people paid for their visits at the time. And this business idea was such a brilliant one because many people were trapped, thinking this was the real house of Romeo and Juliet, and so do I. I was so excited to visit the city only because of Romeo and Juliet. The next two cities we visited were Lugano and Bern in Switzerland. In Lugano, we climbed to one of the very high mountains to see the whole city from above, but sadly I did not have any proper pictures to show you how beautiful it was. The city is famous for its harmonization between lands and the sea, or rivers. I'm not really sure. Bern is another different phase of Switzerland where you can find very structural roads and cities. The houses and the buildings are just so magnificent as Bandit or in the cartoon movie that you can find. I was really shocked with the view in front of me. The eighth destination that we visited was Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland. We were so lucky to get to visit the city, which were filled with mountains, fields, some wooden houses, and the streams flowing down from the mountains. The air couldn't be fresher and we couldn't feel more relaxed than ever here. We walked and realized that we spent 2 hours just to walk and enjoy this environment. The last day in Switzerland, we went to Lucerne, but we had some problems among us, so we just spent almost the whole day to fix our issues. You know, while traveling together, you cannot really avoid conflicts or uncomfortable feelings towards others because you stay 24/7 with them. For me, it's always bad to talk face to face and forget it. But we still got to visit some wooden bridges across the river which connect this part of the city to another. Each bridge is not too long, just around 10 to 15 minutes walk. And inside each bridge, you can read the description of how and when the bridge was built, or even how many times it was destroyed and rebuilt. The last city as well as country we went to in this trip was Luxembourg. Luxembourg City was very well established and structured, and it surprised us because the city has many levels or stages. We moved to different levels of the city by elevators, just like how we moved from one floor to another in a building. I guess this is because Luxembourg is located in the hill area, so constructing the city this way could help them to accommodate more citizens. Those were my best memory of traveling in Europe. If you're planning to visit, I would love to in the future. Feel free to message me for some more tips of how to travel in cheap and save money during the trip. Feedback and comments are welcome. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.